Hello guys, it's me Aradhya Gopal Nepal and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In the previous two channel, I have explained the project setup I have done on my application. I have explained what my application was it's about and I have explained the end result. I have tested all of the APIs in the previous video and explained in detail all of the validation which I have done on my project. In this video, I will go in depth on each code regarding what I have done. So I will be using this interface, but I will be using this interface less and more of explaining each code regarding what I have done. This video can go long. The previous video was 1 hour. This video can go even 2 hour. I don't know. Okay, so in my project, so explaining one by one could be boring. So what I just decided is that I will explain API wise. So let's try register API. When we click register, at first in controller, this will be called, this is register controller. Uh, so if you can see the, so this is the code which will be called when we click this register. As you can see the method signature, the return type of this register is generic response entity and the parameter in the method signature are register request. So the argument we need to pass to hit this API is register request and this API might throw an custom exception. Okay. Regarding generic response entity, it is a subchild of response entity which sends generic response to the user. So let's try an API uh, aradhya at the rate 3 at the rate yokmail.com taste oh sorry uh, guys aradhya the Nepal age 22 male. So 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 I got a message register successfully, please check on your Gmail to set your password. If I try login, I will I get this kind of response. There is a data. Inside data there is a all data and there is a message. Inside message there is a message. So these are the two kind of response which I get from our API if there is any success. And this response type is defined in generic response. The generic response have three fields: data, errors, message. And as you can see in generic response entity constructor, we are just asking, you know, generic response and status code, and we are passing to the parent class. This is nothing complex, but the static methods which I have created in this class represents what kind of response which we might get from hitting my API. There are four kind of response which we might get. First is success with message. Let's say user registered successfully, then this kind of response will be sent because after registering in UI we might need to show some toast on bottom. For those toast, front end don't need to hard code any value. They can just use this message to make our app dynamic. So this is the first response, success with message. The second response is success with data. If you look API, so this let's say sometimes we need to show response and we also need to send frontend back some data which they need to continue the flow of the application. So in this data field we can pass the data, but some of my you must be confused that the data could be any type. Okay, the message is always a string, but data could be anything. It could be a boolean, it could be any object that is supported on JSON convention. So how did my code manages that? In my code, I'm using type generics. As you can see, everywhere is type. In success data, since the static type, I've done something like this. Type generics, everything is type generics in my code. Whereas in error, so this is about success. Now let's moving towards error. There might be two scenarios in error. First is simply error. Let's say I hit a random password and execute. So this is an error which I got, invalid username and password. If you look at closely, the error which I get a list of error, because sometimes what happens is that in the register, if I just simply hit this, sometimes bro, what is this the heck? Mill, no, C mill, what else? Sometimes OMG, what is happening? How can I register if I say unauthorized? You, this is wrong, guys. My app is not working. Mill. So guys, I just found one error in my API that is on wrong enum my app crash. No, on wrong enum my backend don't send proper response. So one of the thing you might notice is that we are getting two error. Please enter your gender, email is because in one request there are multiple things which went wrong, and the backend is trying to explain the front end that you need to fix these things, due to which the error is a list, not a single string value. That is what is done in here. And regarding error with data might confuse you. How the heck an error have some data? But if you look at here, are the three @yokmail.com. So error with data, do this kind of thing. If you need to return some data from error, you can use error with data. If you need detailed explanation in which scenario this kind of field is required, you can watch my previous video. I will try my best to not re-explain the same thing which I have already taught. Okay, so this is my response. Entity response entity is not my class. This is my class, and I will explain everything. So that this is the signature of my register class, and in the register request you can see that you know these are the field which I asked here. Register, this field I asked from the user, from the front end, full name, and what I've done is that I've used this springboard or what we got juggernaut, I don't know much. I've used this kind of annotation to do validation, and I've stored all of the strings here. I know I am supposed to store string on some file on the resource, but for now I've done this. Once I learn more, I will fix these issues. My bottle went wrong. This is the register request, and one thing I learned is that there's a difference between size and min max. The difference is size is used for string. If you want to count that A, B, C, D, this is 4 letter. We count and do validation for it in size. Whereas if there is a number, 5 is less than 4. This kind of logic we check using min and max. And there is a error with enum which I will fix later. There are three type of enum my app support: male, female, and this thing which might spread controversy in my YouTube channel why I'm doing this kind of things, what whatever. And I've stored all of the validation things here like regex, passport, these, and I don't think that unlike these I need to refactor this logic in future. I will continue keeping these things here. Okay, this is about my request, and as a Spring Boot convention I've used request body. Okay, and push mapping, request mapping. So this whole controller is API slash v1 slash auth slash register. So this is a REST controller, and this specific method is a post mapping with no value, which means this method represents this API itself but with method post. That's what it's doing. And as you can see, I will explain later. So with that, our code goes here. As you can see, I've already explained what this is. Regarding this, service is an object of auth service, and we have used all args constructor. Spring Boot is Spring is also, from what I know, Spring is a dependency injection framework, dependency injection whatever package framework, whatever. It's a framework, I think. And required all args constructor makes all of the required all args constructor do constructor overloading. So there are three construction. Oh, I forgot everything, guys. So there are three kind of dependency injection: constructor, parameter, method. I forgot this, but required all as constructor do dependency injection on this final field. One of the bad thing about Spring Boot, which I don't like, is that this dependency injection is not type compile type safe. Like in our Flutter, this riverboard. If I remove this, I will not get any compile time error. But when I run my server, then no, it will show error. So it might put the red line here. But since Spring is not compile time safe, it's annoying. Whatever. But still, Spring do the check and inform us. That's a good thing. In so repository layer, I controller layer is about providing a good presentation to its consumer, but all of the logic of the calculation is done inside this auth service, which I will explain after few seconds. I don't think there is anything more I need to explain here. Let's go inside this register method. It's a complicated method. I don't think so. One thing to note is that this through custom exception are this kind of exception, you know, status. So this kind of exception, there is an extra flag which is used to pass some. So extra flag is something which helped us here. These are the extra flag which you can see on custom exception. Status code is, conflict by default or unauthorized, the specific reason for which the exception occurred. So this is the custom exception. Now moving next to the register method. So we are try catch custom exception. So if you can see, there is OTP recent limit exception. In my code there is a logic that read this. New OTP can only be sent after 1 minute. If any of the code sends throws this exception in register, then this message will be shown to the user. Re-register successfully. Please use same OTP previously sent. Just I will do read. I have already done demonstration in previous video. I will do again. This thing is so annoying, yeah. Means front end might. Okay, I got re-register, but if I try to execute again, my code is supposed to send OTP, but since I've already sent an OTP 1 minute with without 1 minute being reached, my code will throw OTP 1 minute exception. But I cannot stop the registration flow just due to that OTP 1 minute exception, due to which this will be shown to the user. So if I update this 123, user detail will be updated, but no OTP will be sent to the user because they haven't reached the 1 minute limit which is required in our system to send any OTP. And this is where this things is being checked. Return OTP exception, and always on all service I tried my best to do try catch, which I generally forgot. so so this is the we are trying to do register. At first we check, is there any existing user? If there is an existing user, we check if user is enabled. What does user enabled means? So what does it means is that, let me open uh, admin is my password, guys. Shifting fitness, select everything from fitness. My table name is so hard that me myself forgot it. FOLKS. I think I should rename this to. So look, guys, in table you can see that either2 and either@gmail.com has a encrypted passport saved, but this other 3 have no passport. This is so because I've done only the registration process on this other 3, but I haven't done set password process on this other 3. In this case, this other 3 is not it's not enabled yet, due to which we are seeing this error. And as you can see, as you can see, each enabled is a Spring Boot user details. If we implement user details, there is a method name each enabled, and if there is no password, our account is not enabled. No one can log in our account. This is handled here. So if if you know if I hit this API rd@yopmail.com with rd3@yopmail.com, since rd3@yopmail.com is not yet enabled, it will allow us to continue our registration process. But if I add rd2@yopmail.com, and since rd2@yopmail.com is already enabled, we will see this kind of exception: user with given email already exists. So conflict status code. So this is what this logic do. It allow users who haven't set their password to re-register, but it doesn't allow users who have already set their password to re-register. And the response we get on from register is managed here. The 3 kind of response: register successfully, re-register successfully, re-register successfully, reuse OTP, and uh, this message is something which holds this value. If if a user already exists and to we are allowed to modify the user, or user is registering for first time, this to, this code ensure that the latest data is saved on our what on our database. We are saving in our what on our entity, and finally doing a commit, kind of those kind of things. If we see the fitness, our main table, there is ID, which is a primary key. There is a full name, email must be unique. There is a profile which can be null. There is age, not nullable. There is a gender which is enumerated because we are saving gender like male, 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 female, male, male. We are not saving like 001, 01, 01 because 01 might be confused. So if we do nothing here, our gender will be saved as 000 for male and 111 for female. But I want to save like this. The disadvantage of saving like this is that it can increase the storage in our database, but still I am a front end. I care more about experience. So there's a attempt. Wrong attempt. If, so it is used to wrong attempt is used to block the user, and if the user is blocked, we this override method will handle this scenario and username. So in username we are returning UID because all of the so in none of code in my project I am exposing the ID of the user to the consumer of my API because ID is something like 012345678 and someone might misuse it. That's why I'm using UID which is unique. So that's what I've done. And there's a password which could be null if the account isn't enabled yet. There's a rule which could be admin user. For now there is nothing in admin, so for now imagine that the rule we got is only user, and there's something like this which we have done. I know this is a bad thing which I have done. I will fix it later. To do bad code, fix it. And this is the basic signature. UID is a random UID. So this is the basic signature of my fitness fork, the user entity of my project, and there is a code named generate and send OTP. Oh, guys, you're tired. So guys, I will take few minutes break and explain this code. Only this method, okay? I will explain only this method. Let's meet on next video. Yeah. Again, I will let's meet on next time span. Again, I am already explaining that this video will be nearly 2 hour long because I don't care about explaining you guys things about Spring Boot because I'm not a backend developer, I'm a mobile developer. If my intention was explaining, teaching you something, I could have taught you mobile in which I got better specialization. My main agenda is to improve my English skill, so I will take as much time as I can to explain a topic which I have done. So let's pause it and wait for me in my next time span.